Did Ryan Reynolds ditch Blake Lively at the premiere of Another Simple Favor to save his own career?
They will prepare for that a million different ways. They will tell journalists what they can and cannot ask. Her PR firm will only walk her up to certain friendly journalists.
Hold on tight. Chris Evans has just blown open a hidden Marvel controversy that seems to lead directly to Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Yes, you read that correctly. Hollywood's golden pair is under scrutiny, accused of pulling off such a daring Marvel scheme that it might ruin their pristine reputation. And who's spilling all the tea? Captain America himself. Beneath those bright smiles and glitzy red carpets, Blake Lively is being named as the ringleader behind a sinister plot lurking within the MCU.
Insiders are spilling on the real reason why Ryan Reynolds left Blake Lively alone on the red carpet amid the Anna Kendrick beef, and it's all about money.
What was her reason? It seems she wanted the Marvel limelight all to herself. The alleged motive? Nothing but pure ambition for Marvel fame and fortune. This shocking tell-all has everything. Secret negotiations, leaked texts, betrayals, and it's only the beginning. Did America's sweetheart really swindle the MCU and drag Ryan into it? Or is there an even bigger twist on the horizon?
Several other actors attended premieres at South by without their spouses or significant others. I mean, one, why are you responding?
Grab your snacks, because the evidence about to drop will rock Hollywood to its foundation. Trust me, this is one story you don't want to miss. Blake Lively arrived at what was supposed to be a career-defining moment, a red carpet return intended to silence her critics and remind everyone of her star power. Instead, it turned into one of the most humiliating nights she's ever experienced. She showed up with her cast and filmmakers, seemingly having a great time. Other actors also attended premieres at South Farthau by Southwest without their partners. But when she arrived at the Another Simple Favor premiere, expecting admiration and the usual love from the cameras, everything felt different. The energy was off from the start. Photographers still snapped pictures, but with noticeably less enthusiasm. "You're clearly uncomfortable," someone commented, and indeed it showed. Blake couldn't ignore the awkward vibes, especially when she discovered a protester outside the event carrying a sign that read, "Justice for Justin Baldwin." Blake lied. This was no random heckler or disappointed fan. It felt like a deliberate attack on her credibility, a public display of the resentment that had been building over the past months. Hollywood loves its illusions, but no amount of charm or perfectly placed smiles could erase those words looming at the entrance. For months, Blake had worked overtime to pretend that the scandals swirling around her weren't real. Yet the legal drama, the PR meltdown, the rumors of a strained marriage with Ryan Reynolds, and the fallout of her feud with Baldoni had been taking a toll. She pushed forward as if appearances alone could solve the problem, as if Hollywood would once again fall in line and let her control the story. But the industry had stopped listening. The media was no longer shaping stories in her favor. And perhaps most painfully, her former colleagues, friends, and supporters seemed determined to distance themselves from her. The final blow, Anna Kendrick, her co-star and longtime industry acquaintance, was asked about working with Blake again. Instead of the standard polite response, Kendrick delivered just 4 words, with zero warmth or civility. That moment hit harder than any tabloid cover or public scandal ever could. Her tone radiated disinterest, making it plain she had no desire to be dragged into any fake Hollywood friendship, just for red carpets and ticket sales. Kendrick wasn't alone either. Henry Golding, another of Blake's co-stars, offered a sarcastic comment when asked about reuniting with the Simple Favor cast. What could go wrong? His smirk spoke volumes. In that instant, it became crystal clear that Blake Lively was fighting not just to protect her public persona, but also to salvage respect among her peers. And failing at both, people were tired of her. Her promotional strategies were being questioned. The belief was that her star power, and possibly Ryan's, could shield her from these controversies. But the facade was cracking. Hollywood's biggest players keep their influence by forming alliances, nurturing relationships, and cultivating mutual benefits. Blake's reputation, however, had become toxic. The fashion world, once enamored with her, began backing away. Luxury brands that once coveted her image quietly moved on. Talent agents warned studios she might be a risky choice. Producers noticed the tension and chose to avoid any involvement. Even at South by Southwest, where she aimed to regain her footing, the cracks were too obvious to hide. Blake tried to greet fans, sign autographs, and display her signature smile, but the reality was inescapable. She wasn't in control anymore. Her entire career had been built on the perception of effortless poise, of being that cool, unflappable leading lady. But illusions work only when people are willing to believe. And now, nobody believed her version of events. The PR spectacle for another simple favor was meant to be her big comeback. Yet it confirmed something else entirely. The industry was done protecting her. This wasn't a minor scandal she could smooth over with a cleverly spun interview or a well-orchestrated public appearance. It felt like the end of an era. Kendrick's icy dismissal wasn't merely personal, it was professional. She wanted Blake to address the Baldoni conflict. In short, Kendrick was finished with both Blake the friend and Blake the brand. Hollywood appeared to have reached the same conclusion. Blake can still try to keep up appearances, go to events, and project an image of control. But the truth is straightforward. She's no longer controlling the narrative. She's no longer an asset. She's no longer someone Hollywood wants to prop up. Everyone sees through her now, and no glamorous event, forced grin, or carefully orchestrated PR strategy can change that. Blake Lively went into the premiere anticipating a triumphant resurgence, a moment where she could reclaim her Hollywood stature. But the atmosphere told a starkly different story. The energy felt off. The friendly smiles were clearly forced, and the overall excitement was non-existent. The very industry that once championed her now observed with cold detachment. Outside, that protester with the sign, "Justice for Justin Baldoni," Blake lied, underscored how far she'd fallen. It wasn't just someone griping about a movie. It was a pointed accusation about her integrity. Worse yet, it wasn't just one protester. Everyone watching could feel the tension both outside the red carpet and within the premiere. It represented a deeper turning point. For months, Blake pretended that the legal disputes and bad press were mere roadblocks, believing that her cultivated PR skills would pull her through. But Hollywood, known for its ruthlessness, rarely offers second chances. By the time you realize it, the system has moved on. Anna Kendrick's brief but dismissive response instantly became the night's highlight. What was it like working with Blake again? Mama, the kind of simple question actors typically answer with stock quotes, even if they don't mean them. But Kendrick refused to pretend. She had no interest in standing up for Blake or letting herself be sucked into another forced Hollywood PR friendship. That, more than any rumor or tabloid piece, signaled a sea change. Behind the scenes, these attitudes were echoed by others. Actors and crew members had little desire to publicly align themselves with Blake. Hollywood's entire structure relies on carefully maintained networks, and Blake's network was vanishing before her eyes. Even if she had once negotiated top billing or insisted on being featured prominently in marketing campaigns, those days were rapidly slipping away. At South by Southwest, even Blake's polished fan interactions couldn't hide the truth. The excitement around her was gone. She still waved, still posed, but nobody was fooled. This was no longer a star at the peak of her powers. It was someone clinging to a reputation crumbling under scandal, rumors, and fatigue. Hollywood isn't loyal. It thrives on novelty and discards those who become liabilities. The press, once eager to shower her with praise, had grown silent. Those glowing write-ups about her style, charm, or presence on a red carpet were replaced by stories of who snubbed her, which co-star refused to fake a smile, and the quiet desertion from peers tired of fielding uncomfortable questions. The fashion world, once her playground, now saw her as yesterday's news. The promotional train kept moving, but Blake was no longer at the front. In the most brutal sense, she was facing irrelevance. Hollywood doesn't mind scandal. Sometimes it even thrives on it, but it turns unforgiving when someone is deemed no longer useful. And Blake had always hinged her career on image, not on career-defining roles or remarkable performances. That foundation is easily shaken. Before, she thought careful planning could protect her from a downfall. but nobody is untouchable when public perception shifts. So there she stood at the Another Simple Favor premiere, hoping to recapture the magic, yet every moment screamed indifference. It wasn't dramatic hostility or overt attacks. Worse, it was quiet apathy. Once the public and the industry decide you're irrelevant, they don't rage or riot, they simply stop caring. Anna Kendrick's bluntness and Henry Golding's wry remarks summed it up. There was no future collaboration or camaraderie. Nobody was interested in reviving the story Blake wanted to tell. They wanted to move forward, and she was the extra weight holding them back. This industry, with its short memory and insatiable hunger for the next big thing, was done with her. The PR stunts, the finely tuned interviews, the curated social media, none of it would fix the core problem of being replaced. In Hollywood, countless once celebrated actresses have witnessed this same pattern. Blake's tragedy was believing she was uniquely safe, that her ability to manipulate the narrative would shield her forever. But Hollywood demands fresh faces and fewer complications. One day, the phone stops ringing. Maybe it's not an abrupt exile, just an absence of interest. And that, in many ways, is worse. There's no big cinematic downfall, no epic scandal to fight. There's only the crushing realization that nobody is asking for you anymore. By the end of the evening, the message was unavoidable. The industry that once clamored for her presence now faced her with a measured detachment. No breathless coverage about her outfit, no glowing reviews of her return to form. Instead, it was all about what happened around her. The co-stars who barely concealed their disdain, the protesters' glaring sign, and the underlying sense that her time was up. She once thought her carefully orchestrated image made her indispensable. The quintessential Hollywood darling who didn't need to chase publicity because it naturally fell into her lap. Now, standing alone in the flickering spotlight, she had to confront the truth. The illusion only holds if people choose to believe in it, and they had chosen not to. The real blow was neither hatred nor scandal, but the yawning apathy that suggests she no longer matters. She built her success on being sought after, on being that bright presence everyone wanted around. But now, as the room collectively looked past her, Blake Lively faced the harshest reality Hollywood can deliver. She'd become forgettable. And in this business, the only fate worse than infamy is irrelevance.